In this video, we would be looking into the application of differential cost analysis for a situation of accept or reject the offer for an export. The question goes like this: a company has a capacity of producing 1 lakh units of a certain product in a month. The sales department reports that the following schedule of sale price is possible. The production is of volume, or the volume of production is given in a percentage: 60%, 70%, 80%, 90%, and 100%. And the selling price is given in paise: 90 paise, 80 paise, 75 paise, 67 paise, and 61 paise at different volumes of production. Along with this, they have given you the variable cost of manufacturing between these levels as 15 paise per unit. So the variable cost per unit is rupees 15 paise. Fixed cost given is 40,000 rupees. With this information, you are supposed to prepare a statement showing the incremental revenue and differential cost at each stage. At which volume of production will the profit be maximum? So once you calculate the incremental revenue and the differential cost, you are supposed to calculate, or you are supposed to choose the volume of production where it's going to be profitable. And the second part of the question is, if there is an offer for a 50 paise per unit for the balance capacity over the maximum profit volume for export price, and price quoted will not affect the internal sales price, will you advise accepting this bid and why? So we have to provide suggestions as to why we are accepting, if at all we are accepting the export offer, and give reasons for the acceptance of the export. So first, let us go with the first part of the question and then discuss the second part of the question. So quickly, let's move on to the Excel. So we are preparing the first part of the question is asking us to prepare the statement showing incremental revenue and differential cost at each stage and choose the volume of production which is more profitable. So we have to prepare the schedule or the statement of increment and incremental revenue and differential cost, for which or why we are preparing this. We are first preparing the incremental revenue and then we are preparing the differential cost. As they have not given us directly the total sales to calculate incremental revenue and the total cost to calculate differential cost, we have to prepare this schedule. So before we could calculate incremental revenue, you are supposed to calculate the sales value. Before you calculate the differential cost, you're supposed to calculate the total cost for the different levels of activity given. So first they have given us the different volume of production at what percent: 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100 respectively. So first our capacity starts at 60%, then we are exposed at 70%. So 60, 70, 80, 90, and 100% capacity. Okay, so the output is, we need to calculate the output in units, for which we require the percentage and what is the level of, or what is the number of units that are being manufactured. If you look into the Word document, the company has a capacity of producing 1 lakh units. So the company has 1 lakh units capacity. So when it is using its capacity to 60%, then what would be the level of production? So the units manufactured, so we are having 1 lakh as the capacity. Maximum level is 1 lakh. But how much is, but it is not manufacturing, or it is not manufacturing all the levels of activities. So at 100% capacity, the level or the output is said to be 1 lakh. as given in the question. At 90% capacity, it would be 90,000. At 80%, it would be 80,000. At 70%, it would be 70,000. And at 60%, number of units would be 60. So the selling price as given in the question, it is given in paise. So it is 90, 80, 75. So it is given in prices. So it is 90 paise, 80 paise, 75 paise, 7 paise, and 61 paise. So as we have the selling price and output, you can calculate the sales value. Sales value is equal to output into selling price. I repeat, sales value is equal to output into selling price. So I apply the same volume, same formula for the rest of the levels as well. So we have a sales of 54,000, 56,000, 60,000, 60,300, and 61,000. And now we can calculate the incremental revenue. So incremental revenue is the increase in the sales from the current level of activity to the when compared to the previous level of activity. So if I have to compare it at 60%, you are starting at 60% capacity, so we don't have any level to compare. Coming to the second level, it's going to be the difference between the current level and the previous level of sales. So again, I repeat, incremental revenue is equal to current value of sales minus the previous value of sales. Incremental revenue is equal to current value of sales minus the previous value of sales. Incremental revenue is equal to current value of sales minus the previous value of sales. We have calculated the incremental revenue. So now we have to, as we have finished with incremental revenue, we go with the differential cost. So to calculate the differential cost, in the problem, they have given us the variable cost as 15 paise per unit and the fixed cost is said to be 40,000. So variable cost is at 15 paise per unit and fixed cost is constant as 40,000. So it remains the constant across the levels of activity. Now we are going to calculate the variable cost. Variable cost is equal to output into variable cost per unit is 15 paise. So equal to output into variable cost per unit, 15 paise. I repeat again, your variable cost as they have given you is cost per unit, variable cost per unit. We are going to calculate for the total output. So it is equal to what is the output into variable cost per unit. I apply the same formula for the rest of the levels. So in this problem, they have given us only total cost and variable cost and fixed cost to calculate the total cost. But if you look into the previous question, they had given us semi-variable cost, variable cost, and fixed cost. But in this question, we have only variable cost and fixed cost. So the total cost would be variable cost plus fixed cost. Total cost is equal to variable cost plus fixed cost. I apply the same formula. Total cost we have calculated. Now we are calculating the differential cost. As I told, differential cost is said to be the increase in the cost from the previous year to the current year. So what is the increase in the cost or decrease in the cost? We have to see. So as in the first year, we don't have the previous year to compare. We have I mean to say that we don't have the previous level of activity to compare because we are starting off with the volume of production as 60% only. So now when you compare the total cost of 70% with 60%, you will be getting 50,600 minus 49,000 equal to 1,000 minus 49,000. I use the same formula. So it is 1,500 every year. But now I need to find whether my incremental revenue is greater than or lesser than or equal to your differential cost. This is what we are going to find out. This is only a simple, for your understanding I'm making, this column is not needed when you are preparing the schedule of change, only to make you understand. So we are comparing. So first year it is going to be nil. The second level of activity it would be. So we are finding out IR, first IR minus your differential cost. So when I calculate the difference between the incremental revenue and the differential cost, if you look into, you are finding out the level of activity where the IR, incremental revenue, is more than the differential cost. We are only comparing incremental revenue and differential cost. So when I compare it, so to find out that my incremental revenue is the first thing, from my incremental revenue should be more than differential cost. So I find the difference between them. When I find the difference at 70% level of capacity, my IR, incremental revenue, is more than the differential cost by 500. And when I at 80% capacity, my incremental revenue is more than differential cost by 2,500. But when you look into the 90% capacity and 100% capacity, when I look into these two capacities, the incremental revenue is actually much lesser than the differential cost. You have 300 rupees as your revenue, but your cost is said to be 1,500. So there's a difference of 1,200. And when you talk about 100% capacity, you have 700 as your incremental revenue, but the cost is 1,500. So your differential cost is more. So which is the level of activity that you can choose? You can choose the level of activity as 80% level of activity. So what they've asked you, prepare a statement showing incremental revenue and differential cost at each stage, at which volume of production will the profit be maximum. So at what volume of production it would be maximum? So at 80% volume of production, the profit is said to be maximum. Profit will be maximum. So we have answered the first part of the question. Now coming to the second part of the question. If there is an offer at 50 paise per unit for the balance of capacity, that means we have chosen a capacity of 80,000, but we have another 20% capacity which can be utilized. If the company has an opportunity of utilizing this 20% of capacity to manufacture, utilize this 50%, utilize the other 20% capacity, what would be the incremental revenue and incremental cost? So that is what we are going to find out. So next question, if there is an offer at 50 paise for the balance of capacity over the maximum profit volume for export price, what would be the, whether you should accept it or not? That's what we are calculating now. Okay. So if there is an offer of 50 paise, we need to calculate first what? Incremental revenue. So incremental revenue, if you're going to increase the balance of capacity. So the balance of capacity, what we have is balance of capacity is 20% of capacity. So 20% of capacity means it would be another 20,000 units. So you're, as of now, you're producing 80,000. So you can produce another 20,000 units. So the cost would be or the revenue what you would be getting would be 20,000 into what would be the offer that you're getting. You would be able to sell it. You will be able to sell it at 50 paise. So what is the incremental revenue? So incremental revenue is equal to 20,000 into 0.5. That would be 10,000 rupees. You would be having an incremental revenue. And now coming to the differential cost. Differential cost. The differential cost would be 0.15. That is your variable cost. So variable cost. Your fixed cost anyway remains the same. So what would be the differential cost? 20,000 into 0.15 is going to be the cost that would be varying. So that amounts to 3,000 rupees. So you will have a incremental revenue. So incremental revenue. So instead of producing and selling internally, another 20,000 you can manufacture and sell it or export it. So wherein you will be getting an additional profit of 7,000. So it is advisable to accept the bulk order of export at a price of 50 paise per unit, because the balance capacity of 20,000 units will be sold and will add a cost of rupees 3,000. The incremental revenue is much more than the differential cost. Hence, it is so increasing profit by rupees 7,000. So I hope you have understood this question. Thank you.